F1 2017 is finally here, and it's set to be one of the biggest F1 games, or the best F1 game throughout the Codemasters series so far. Now, you've just seen the trailer there, and one of the things that you've probably noticed, obviously, is the return of the classic cars. Now, these were first introduced back in F1 2013, about 4 years ago now, and they are set to make a big return. This is the headline thing for the new F1 game. Now, obviously, as I just said, F1 2013 saw the introduction of the classic cars, and now at this time, no other racing game or F1 game gave fans the chance to drive the old cars. Now, it was something that had been requested probably since the Codemasters started launching the game, because again, it just reminds people of just how the history of Formula 1 gives people the chance to drive the old cars and to see what they sound like, what they feel like, and everything. Just try and relive the glory old days as well. So obviously, when they had that, it became an instant hit. People loved it as well. You could have loads of little modes, doing lap times, time trials, multiplayer online and stuff like that. It was a really good hit. And in F1 2014, they decided to get rid of it for some strange reason, and people were like, why? And then same again for 2015, and same again for F1 2016, and people were like, are we ever going to see the return of the classic cars? And obviously, in F1 2017, they have listened to the fans, they've listened to the YouTubers who have been there, done the beta test, and they are going to bring it back. Now, we aren't just talking about any old F1 classic cars. We are talking about some of the best cars in motorsport history. And I'm talking about the McLaren MP44, 1988, Ayrton Senna's first championship winning car, 15 out of 16 races won, brilliant year. Nigel Mansell's 1992 FW14B won his championship there, and the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello of the F2002, obviously from the year 2002, clues in the title. So obviously, straight away off the bat, they have released 3 classic cars that are going to be in the game so far. Now, they have said that there's going to be 12 in total, 12 classic cars from the past 30 years that are going to be introduced into this game. Now, obviously, we don't know what the cars are going to be. However, I would assume, I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction here, that possibly the Williams of Damon Hill or Jacques Villeneuve back in them days, possibly maybe one of Mika Häkkinen's winning cars from 98 and 99, maybe Alonso's 2005-2006 car, maybe even the Brawn. Who knows? We haven't really driven that on a modern day console. I wouldn't have thought that like Sebastian Vettel's cars of F1 of 2010, 2011, because they've already been in the game. I would suggest. However, one car I am expecting to be in there, or want to be in there rather, is Lewis Hamilton's 2008 winning car. Now, we are celebrating 10 years of Lewis Hamilton. Now, I would assume that they would try and add that car in, possibly as a feature or whatever. I'm not really too sure. So, obviously, I am very excited. It has gone down an instant hit with the fans straight away. As soon as Cody's released the trailer, straight away, all the fans, oh my god, classic cars are back. We've been wanting this for ages. So, obviously, there's a lot to come, obviously, in the coming weeks. From now until the 25th of August, and this is when the game will be released. Now, if you buy this game on day one, or if you pre-order it for that matter, you can get an exclusive package, or car rather, which is the McLaren MP44. So people who purchase it on day one, who get it on the day first comes out, or if you pre-order it on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever, you get this car. Now, if you don't, and however, if you do miss out and you don't get the day one purchase, you can still get it. You can still buy it as an extra, part on the store or whatever, which is still quite good. However, I would suggest pre-order it now. We'll leave a couple of links in the description below just to help you guys out if you want to go and find it or anything like that. This isn't sponsored or anything like that. We're not being asked to do that. We're being nice.
Unless you're going to pay.
Yeah, exactly. If you are watching this and you're going to pay for us, then we happily will. But no, we're not like that. But like when this news first came out, I was excited. Now, obviously, like any other F1 fan I was, but just to see the return of like obviously these classic cars being introduced into the game, and then obviously apparently you can be added into career modes and online and stuff like that. Obviously, we'll dwell more on that as the episode goes on. Obviously, I'll like to know your opinions about this. Are you happy the classic cars are back? And obviously, what do you want from them as well? What do you expect that the classic cars will do? So obviously, I'll leave your opinions in the comment section below. So Lyle, and I understand that when F1 2013 had this game out, you got the was it a deluxe edition?
Limited edition, yes.
Limited edition one, obviously, because you had the standard one, then you had the limited edition one. You got the limited edition one, so obviously you've driven a lot of classic cars. So obviously compare that to the cars you're going to be driving in F1 2017. Like, how hyped are you for this? I mean, and what are you expecting from the classic cars from this game?
I mean, it was absolutely amazing news. I loved it in 2013. I really, really did. I mean, the graphics and things weren't fantastic, but obviously we'll get into that later on in the comparison of what they're going to be like, what we expect them to be like. But it was really, really amazing. I had the old edition first, so obviously you could only drive a handful of cars from the 80s. Obviously that was still fantastic as well, but the limited edition was great. You had cars from the 90s as well. The old circuits were absolutely fantastic. I mean, that was probably my... Well, it was really, really great that you had all the old circuits on there. Estoril was probably one of my favourites. You had places like Imola, Jerez obviously used for the winter testing a few years ago, and those were really fantastic. You had Murray Walker as well doing the intro as well. Yeah, for example, like you had David Croft obviously doing the F1. Welcome to F1 2013. Welcome to Formula 1.
Yeah.
But then you had obviously Murray Walker saying welcome to Formula 1 when you switched over to the classic car mode. It really was unbelievable. It felt like in the old school, the old style. It really was absolutely class. I can't wait for these cars to be back as well. Can't wait to see what the other cars are going to be as well. But some of the cars that have been reading out of class, obviously the McLaren, the Williams, the Ferrari, absolutely amazing. The Ferrari is probably going to be one of the best, obviously, with that really like screeching noise, obviously, of the engine. And it would be fantastic to see some of the newer old cars that make sense, like obviously Jordan said, like the McLaren, obviously that Lewis Hamilton drove in 2008, the Brawn, the Renault of Fernando Alonso, the Ferrari came right, and we're going to have no idea, but it will be great to see. Anyway, we have the career mode back, and I was going to say like all of the years, but obviously in 2015, remember, there was not. Yes, anyway, so the career mode is back. So what you can do is now you can do the full season, obviously the 20 races like you did last year, in your own chosen character. You can also do quick races and multiplayer, single player and multiplayer online races, obviously featuring all of the champions that we'll have on the grid at the moment. Obviously all 20 drivers, all teams through Mercedes to Sauber. It would be absolutely great like it is all the time, and we were expecting a lot to happen in this, so I'm going to compare it to 2016. I mean, from the transition that we saw from 2014 because we didn't have one in 2015. 2014 was pretty dull, like it was in 2013, like it was in 2012, like it was in 2010. You might have noticed I missed that 2011. That's because that was quite good. We had the trailer, which obviously was massive at that point. That really was class. Was really, really great. We had loads of change. Obviously, the graphics improved loads. We had like the motorhome / paddock club. We had a manager that came to talk to us. Like a race engineer. Was loads. We got absolutely loads to do, and it wasn't just the driving. It was the everything else. As I say, we had loads of contracts. We had loads of messing on. We had like email systems. It was crazy like that. And this year can only get better than that. I mean, obviously, there's not loads of information about what's coming. Obviously, what like the different details and specs are. But this time last year, when when F1 2016 was going to be released, it was a massive shock to everyone that all of this was coming. There was different rumours that we were going to have like things like a race engineer, but it was a real shock. So really, it's all just waiting to see. But yes, anyway, so obviously that comes back. To be honest, if you were thinking that there wasn't going to be a career season, if there wasn't going to be like a career mode, there might not have been, because as you remember 2015 there wasn't. So I'm just happy that there really is one now, and you can build your own avatar through all like the lower down teams and get them up to a legend, which obviously is class. Do all the races, obviously everything will all be the same as well. There hasn't been any massive changes this year, but I always remember, just quickly guys, the Daniel Kvyat, Max Verstappen. You've got to admit that kind of maybe did scare you a bit, because maybe you thought that you'd get that one edition that they printed when Daniel Kvyat was in the Red Bull, and obviously because remember Rio Haryanto was still in the manor, so just imagine if this did happen later on, Codemasters would have printed loads of editions where Max would have been in the Toro Rosso and Daniel would have been in the Red Bull, and they would have to just said, I'm so sorry, I blame Red Bull, but I'm so sorry we printed the wrong edition. But it will be absolutely fantastic. It looks like they've got all of like the good upgrades and that. It looks like they've got everything tip top and matching everything in the season. season, and yeah, I can't wait to play this. So I'm enjoying the career mode as always. Apart from 2015, it's been something amazing to build your avatar up, to build your own character up, to build your own Jordan up, to see him go for all the teams, highs and lows and McLaren lows, and hopefully get on to be a world champion. Well, it will. Hopefully he's not with McLaren, because he won't be a world champion with them. But
easy mode.
Easy mode with McLaren. But it must be fun. It must, it really is fun. I mean, every year apart from 2015 has been great for that, hasn't it? Are you just happy that career mode's back and that you can get Jordan back into winning race and win the 2017 Drivers' World Championship?
I certainly hope so, because obviously he's a very good driver. But no, I mean, the career mode for me, it's one of the biggest things. I mean, for a lot of people, it's multiplayer, because I mean, obviously they want to race with people around the world. I think they had a career mode multiplayer that was a big request. For a number of years, obviously apart from having F1 2014 on the PS4, obviously because at the time that was when they released. Other than that, it was a multiplayer career mode, and obviously that added that in. But for me, the career mode, I want it to be as close to as living like an F1 driver as possible, because quite frankly, realistically, me and Lyle are never going to live the lifestyle of a Formula 1 driver, you know what I mean? So obviously only limited people can do that. 20 people can do that. So, and obviously that'll chop and change as the years go by. So when you had F1 2010 and 2011, it felt like that, because you had the paddock, you had interviews, you had all sorts. It was, especially in 2010, when you had the little press room at the end if you were on the podium. That was incredible. I loved that. They didn't do it for 2011, which I was a bit disappointed about. But then you had David Croft interviewing you, so I guess that was the next best thing. Then they got rid of it in 2012 and 2013 and 2014. I was a bit like, okay, you've just. I mean, they had like news headlines, but that was about it. And it didn't really. It was like the game was going backwards. And then in 2015, it was just. I mean, what the hell?
I don't know why they did that. I really don't.
It was the biggest joke since McLaren Honda in 2015, coincidentally. So, and then obviously,
McLaren. Well, I mean, what they must have done is, okay, obviously McLaren in 2014 were better than McLaren in 2013, but they must have still thought, if we don't have a career mode, nobody will drive for McLaren. Nobody will do badly in the McLaren car, and we might actually save McLaren. Obviously, Codemasters from Birmingham, McLaren from Woking, kind of close to each other. Spirit of Britain. They might have been looking out for each other. You never know, but it was strange to that. And obviously, also a massive thing as well was obviously the new consoles were coming out for. So obviously, the Xbox One had come out, and the PS4 had come out as well. Yeah. And obviously, you remember the rivalry between which one to get. And obviously all the new games as well. I remember that was a massive point as well. Obviously, we didn't have it. I didn't have it at that point. I don't know about John. I didn't have the Xbox One at that point.
I had PlayStation 3 for F1 2014. Yeah.
It's actually coming up with the year anniversary. I got my Xbox One in the Metro Centre in Gateshead. I'll always remember that moment. What a great
Gateshead.
Yeah, Metro Centre in Gateshead. We love you. Keep Metro Centering. No, it was great. I always remember that moment. Was that moment that I got the game, and obviously, of course, I got F1. 2015 with it, the new edition obviously on the Xbox One, but obviously the console coming out, it was also that battle of what games would rise above it, and it was almost F1 2015 was one of the biggest jokes ever. It was terrible, and obviously things like GTA 5, that had been like a repurposed onto Xbox One. I remember that was class, where you could do like a first person view into like driving the cars and flying the planes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always remember that was great, and that was getting like that. That was, you'd rather buy that than F1 2015. I don't know why they got rid of that, but it was great that they brought out for F1, that they brought it back for F1 2016. And also, just one last thing as well, F1 2016, much like this game, is being made in the summer break. Last year, 2015, and then all the way through that, they were making them right at the end of the season. 2015, I think, came out about October time, if that's right. 2014 was around that time, and then after that, they were all around the back of the season.
I remember, because obviously from F1 2010 to F1 2014, it was all October time, so it was near the end of the season.
Yeah.
But obviously, when with there being such high demand for an F1 game on the newest consoles, because obviously when they released F1 2014, they said, right, it's not coming out on the new consoles, the next one is. And then in July, I remember July 2015, it was when F1 2015 got brought out, just after the British Grand Prix. I was launched around the British Grand Prix time, and it was almost rushed. You could tell it was rushed. It was because obviously you could have F1 2015 or F1 2014. So again, that was good, I guess. But for the career mode terms, it was just awful. You could tell it was rushed. I mean, literally, I think on Steam, it's like one of my lowest hourly played games. I think I've only clocked like 20 hours on it. I hadn't completed a season on it. I did a special little career mode.
I didn't even complete a race. I didn't even complete a race.
Honestly, like I can't. I'll never ever. If I get paid to play it, I will. But until then, I'm not touching that game ever again. So when F1 2016 came onto the scene, and they announced that they were bringing back the paddock view, and obviously your first person, the agent, and also more in depth as well to make practice more, because obviously everyone skipped practice unless you practice, unless you had like your control like a wheel, and you wanted to practice or whatever, or if you just wanted, for giggles basically, you did practice. But obviously you would skip it. But obviously 2016, they brought out the points, the objective points, which made everything better. Then you upgrade your car, which made everything better. But unrealistically, by season 2, you could have a Sauber winning races in season 2, which is a bit like you want to be in season 4, season 5, just to make it a bit more realistic instead of like your second season. Come on, guys, that's not going to happen, is it? So hopefully, I hope they'll do that for F1 2017. Obviously, very limited as to what they've released. So hopefully they can add stuff like transition over some of the stuff from F1 2016 in F1 2017 and hopefully make it better. They have said that they have overhauled the career mode, that there's something, the Arva and Tempomado, obviously the big YouTubers who are covering this game, who have been working with Codemasters alongside this game, have said that there's a big change in the career mode. Now, obviously, we have said that that the cars can be introduced into the career mode, but obviously we'll move on to that a bit later on. So obviously, is that the big news, or is the bigger news still to come?
So as Jordan has said, there's not loads of news about what's going to be in F1 2017, but we've got a good idea from what is coming. Obviously, F1 2016 was such a great game, and since F1 2010, there has always been an evolution. Take out F1 2015, there has always been, a progression that's been made. There always, the cars have been better. Obviously, the game's being made better graphics, things like that, more things to do, more realistic things. Obviously, there's more challenges, more Formula 1 adaptation, things like, the things that you can do during practice, more entertainment side for people who aren't Formula 1 fans. I think that was a massive thing as well, because obviously, the people who make games have got to balance two things. They've got to balance the hardcore gamers who, like, when I say that, I mean like the people who love Formula 1 and they want the games to be so realistic, a bit like Jordan and me, obviously everyone else, a lot of people that watch Formula 1 out there, they want the games, they know what happens in Formula 1, they want them to be so realistic, but then they've also got to kind of they've also got to make the games appeal to people who just want an entertainment side, who just like racing, a bit like people who play Forza and games like that. But anyway, the games have always been moving forward, and it's really great. So anyway, so what do we expect from F1 2017? I mean, the game coming out in August, we had F1 2016, it was a massive high. I mean, this changed everything. We are still playing it to this day. It's absolutely amazing. Obviously, you can just grow so much, and obviously what we talked about in part 1 with the classic mode as well as a career mode, absolutely amazing. So anyway, so what do we expect from this new game? Well, with the classic mode, it's going to be great. Obviously, 2013 was good, but it was their first edition. Now, when Codemasters brought this in, when they brought the classic mode in, they were probably thinking, okay, this is almost like a bit of like a test for us. Obviously, beta test, obviously, the test that we use, they'll have used that with people, as I say, like, big YouTubers and big gamers who'll have come over to England and played on the game. They'll have probably thought this was absolutely great. So it's like your first indication, obviously, popular, people demand getting it back into 2017. They can only improve from that, all that hype that's coming onto the classic mode. So it's absolutely amazing. We're so excited to see it. And as I mentioned quickly in the first part, obviously the big thing that I love from F1 2013 was the classic circuit. Obviously, one of my favourites was Estoril, the Portuguese circuit. We had tracks like Imola, we had tracks like Jerez, Brands Hatch. And also one of the great things as well is that you could do modern circuits as well with that. So obviously, for example, you could take like the Williams cars and things like that, and you could drive them on Silverstone. So you could drive them on like modern day Silverstone, modern day Monza, modern day Monaco. I mean, unfortunately, there wasn't a classic Monaco. That was a bit of a a letdown, because obviously that would have been class. Obviously, we all know when you're going before you go into the tunnel, over the bridge, like after the hairpin, There was like a lower hanging bridge there, and obviously there was no hotels there. The swimming pool chicane was a lot faster. Things like that would have been classed as, Monaco, but you could still use that, as the new Monaco. But then you could also do it on things like Marina Bay, the Singapore circuit. You could do it on Canada, Abu Dhabi, the new circuits, which would be absolutely class. It really was great to use, an old car on a modern day circuit. But what about if you change that around? What about if you change that situation? What about if you have a modern car, so obviously like the cars of 2017, racing on an old circuit? That would be absolutely amazing, and that's one of the things that I was thinking about. I've always thought that would be really, really cool. So let's take, for example, like this year's Mercedes. Obviously Mercedes, new team in Formula 1. They were around in the 50s, but then we all think about them from 2010 onwards. Obviously never raced at these old circuits. The only one that they have ever done is Jerez, obviously, which was used for winter testing, obviously some years ago. That's probably the only one that car's ever seen. But obviously, it would be amazing to see them on tracks like Imola, Brands Hatch, and like actually racing as well. Doing time trials, actually comparing it to that. I think it would be so fun. You would feel like a proper driver. If you did a race there, you would feel, you were proper. You were doing an amazing race. You might feel like you're doing a non-championship event, but you'd feel like you were a proper Formula 1 driver doing things like a testing event or something like that. That would be absolutely cool. You have old cars on modern day circuits, but if you had modern day cars on old circuits, that would be cool, and you can compare them. And also as well, you could see if they could actually be brought back, because obviously a lot of the talk it's kind of faded now, because obviously Monza's been signed for a good few years now, but obviously Imola is probably the only old track that may return to Formula 1 if you were to use a modern day car, and you could get a view for yourself whether that's a track that should return to the Formula 1 calendar. What are the cars like on that track, especially obviously now that the cars are obviously massive. To think that they might even take up the length of the whole circuit, but that would be so fun to do. That would be something that I would love to see, but I don't know. We'll have to wait. And see. But obviously, the old tracks and the fact that you could use the old cars in the modern day circuits was class. What would you like to see, Jordan, out of this new game? What's like the thing that stands out to you that you would like? You'd see it and you'd think, oh wow, this is like the best Formula 1 game ever.
Well, obviously, as I said in the first part, the career mode as well, because I want to live. As close. I want to experience like life as a Formula 1 driver as close as possible, really. And one of the things I would like to see is now obviously just touching on what obviously briefly to what Tiamat Marduk said in his video about how in the F1 2017. The classic cars, they're going to be involved in the career mode. Now, he said, obviously, well, quoting from the guys at Codemasters, he said that when you're in the career mode, you might get asked to take part in an event, to drive a classic car for whatever reason at a certain circuit or wherever. And I was thinking, how cool, like how good would it be, right? Obviously, on the subject of that, if you played Project Cars, now you have like your own calendar and stuff, your own little menu and everything. I would like it to be in your own little motorhome. You've got like a social media pad as well. I want the social media involved in there. A couple of games do that these days. Obviously, exactly what they did in Project Cars, they've got that as well. I want get that involved. Have the calendar, so obviously then they'll go, okay, right, on this day you're going to have a day in a McLaren MP44, a testing day at Goodwood, say. If you can take it, you get extra XP points for your car, for your career mode, or whatever. Obviously, you don't have to take it. You can just say no and just skip along to the Monaco Grand Prix or whatever. I'll like things like that as well. And also on the sound of that, I would like a more in-depth agent, if you know what I mean. Now, when I say that, in F1 2010. In F1 2011, you had an agent who negotiated contracts, who gave you rivals, who just stuff like that, gave you little updates every now and then. But I want more of like an in-depth agent who again offers you these events, offers just like other things that like F1 that F1 drivers like get to pick and choose, just like just to go out on a day to do just in random stuff, really, as well. I think that will be quite cool as well. I'm not really too sure like how that would work, to be honest with you, but again, that's just a little suggestion. It might come about, it might not come about. I really don't know as well. But on the subject of the classics, what you mentioned there, how cool would it be? I don't know if it's been done. I don't know if it was done on F1 2013, but how cool would it be to have a scenario where you, for example, say Belgium 1998, obviously when you had the big crash, maybe try and like be, I don't know, like trying to be in a scenario like that, and you've got to finish the race. So jump to that big crash at the start, and you've broken your front wing, so it starts from there. You've got to then go back to the pits, go back out, and then try and finish the race on the podium or whatever, or however easy.
Well, I mean, that's
however
the thing,
easy or hard.
That's the thing that they used to have.
You want the challenge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that they used to have in the old games, obviously F1 2014, and that used to have it like scenario mode. That would be because they had that in the modern day, but yeah, that would be class if they had it in the old old cars as well. That would be really, really good. But they had great scenarios. They had really, really great scenarios. It was just another thing to do. Say if you didn't want to do your career mode, say if you didn't want to move forward from that, you could do that where you could do scenario modes. Obviously, easier would be like on like the Caterhams and the Manor and the Man and Rushes. There wouldn't be great teams, but then obviously like the very hard ones would obviously be like the Ferrari, the Red Bull, the Mercedes, the McLaren at that point. Even though now it'll be back in easy. But yeah, that was absolutely great. There's one thing that I wanted, because I remember when Jordan, when you told me about F1 2016 coming out, alright, and obviously it was on the new consoles. It was only on the new consoles as well, which made me obviously a bit worried, because obviously, as I said, in the first part, I only got it in June, so I didn't have it around like February time, March time, April time. I was like, oh my god, I need to get it. And I remember he told us that you could do radio messages with your race engineer, and I'll tell you what I thought when he first told me that. I thought he meant like you had to get a headset, you could hook it onto your like controller, and you would talk to him like your proper voice. And obviously that's a real shame that there's no one talking, and obviously you have to bring up a menu and you have to click through like box this lap, or who's behind me, who's in front of me, what's my pace, what's my fuel, things like that. Obviously in F1 2016, and then it'll tell you, it'll be going quite in depth, which is good. Obviously there's never a bit where I've clicked on it and it'll say like Verstappen's behind. He'll always say like Max Verstappen's behind, how far this guy's in front, blah 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 blah. But I've got to say, I just remember that moment when he first told us, and I was like, I actually did think that you could talk to him like your proper voice. I mean, do you think that would be possible, John? Like, do you think that would actually be possible to have? I mean, it would be quite hard, wouldn't it? To program that. But obviously, if they got it to work, it would be awesome. I'll tell you something as well. I mean, I'm not the only one, am I, that actually talks to myself when I'm playing these games.
No.
Like, acting like you're a proper Formula 1 driver. Saying like, I don't know, like, like you box this lap and that. So you'd be. You want to feel like you're a proper Formula 1 driver, and you say those kind of things, and obviously if you could talk to the game like your own voice, it would really be good. I mean, I'm not even sure what it would say. It'd just make you feel like a better driver at home. Say you were driving a Ferrari, around the Sochi Autodrome on lap 1 in your crash, and then you could just burst all of your aggression out on the radio. Or you could be, like Abu Dhabi last year. Obviously we knew that was a very strategical race, obviously with Lewis talking to Paddy about what his options were, obviously Nico talking to Lewis talking to Bono, Paddy talking to Nico, about like what was happening. We know that was a very strategical race. If this could happen, you could almost do that with your race engineer. You could also change the tempo of the race. And obviously I know it's up to you when you want to box. For example, I mean, when again, like say if you're racing on Canada and it'll say box on lap 6, you would think, no, I'm going to box on lap 9 because I don't know, looking at what I can see, I think that's a better option. And then you can box, obviously, as soon as you go past it, it'll show the blue line into the pits. If you go past it, it'll go on to the next lap, then the next lap, then the next lap, until obviously say if the pit lane closes or whatever, it might turn off automatically, say if it thinks that you can't be asked to pit. I know you can change that, but if you could talk to the game, you could almost say to your race engineer, what would be my best option? Should I pit now? Should I pit then? And it would give you more of like a realistic feeling, because as Jordan said in the first part, we are not Formula 1 drivers, unfortunately, even though I think I could be.
That'd be quite good.
And jokes, obviously, and but that would be really, really cool. Anyway, so John, do you think that would be possible? And if so, it would be so cool, wouldn't it? It really would be. I'd never leave the house if that was true. There would be no F1 debate show if that was true, because I'd just be talking away to me game.
Right, but before I give my opinion, I want to do a throwback with me and Lyle, because probably since F1 2011 we have said that we wanted this to happen, to be able to talk to your race engineer. And when F1, it was actually F1 2015 when it first came out, And when the feature said, when they said the little release date, and they said you can talk to your engineer, I didn't know what to do. I was like, lad, this is, we've been wishing for this for ages. And obviously it wasn't like as we thought. But yes, of course it can be done. I mean, we're living in a world with driverless cars sending people to Mars. Of course it can be done. If we can do that, I'm sure we can. Someone just fell. I'm sure if we do that, sending people to Mars and stuff, I'm pretty sure we can get talk to our race engineer, and obviously.
By the way, quick button.
Yes.
There's going to be in F1 Debate episode 54. I'm not going to be in it. I'm going to Mars. I'm sorry, but I have to go to Mars. It's something that I have to do.
He's going to Mars. I don't know why he's going to Mars, but never mind. From episode 54 onwards.
Get away from you.
That's not very nice, is it? Very nice. What a horrible person he is. What a horrible person.
What a horrible person.
But anyways, yes. So I think that'll be quite cool as well, because obviously, now I've never driven F1 2017. Oh, sorry, F1 2017. An F1 game on the steering wheel. I've always had the pad. Now, obviously, whenever the weather changes, for example, you can feel how the vibrations in the pad, and obviously then you indicate, okay, I'm losing grip, I'm losing whatever. But I would like your engineer to go okay, okay, we should get on these tires on this lap. Okay, rain's coming this lap. We should try and do this, because obviously I know it says okay. I think we should switch to intermediate tires, but sometimes it can go wrong, because you can go okay, I'll listen to my engineer, pit to go intermediates, come out, oh look, there's sun on the horizon, you know what I mean? Yeah. It should be more in depth. You should say, okay, just ask him, what tyre should I go on, or should I box this lap, or okay, I've got a broken front wing, I need to box now type of thing, instead of flicking through 3 menus, because I know there's the one where it says shut up Jeff, which I never knew there was more options. I just thought there was just one big page, but actually if you scroll across to the last page, go right at the bottom, it says shut up Jeff, and it goes Roger. So again, I was like,
Roger.
Leave me alone. I know what to do. But no,
we've had a few of those where I mean, again, just in a kind of off topic. I mean, it's there's been loads of moments where drivers have got kind of frustrated with the race engineers, or the drivers have been having a rant. I mean, I always remember Sebastian Vettel, back in his 2012, 2013 days at Red Bull, obviously the latter half, when he kind of gained a reputation, a bit like what he's doing now, of being quite vocal on the radio.
Yeah. That's what he is. Charlie said, yeah, you know what? Here's the message for Charlie. Oh, honestly. Oh.
Is this something about times when Rocky must have been listening to it on the radio, giving a rant, and so oh my god, just I'm actually scared now.
Vettel, man, just shut up, will you?
And
What the f*** are we doing here?
We are seeing a lot more of these, be quiet and that. Yeah, as John said, there's a lot more of be quiet and that, where the drift engineer.
Less talking.
Okay. Well, there has been. I mean, there's been countless moments where they've been honestly, I'm dry. Kimi, God, how have we not mentioned Kimi Räikkönen in Abu Dhabi 2013?
Let me know.
Okay, Alonso's behind you. I'll keep you updated on the gap. And then also as well, obviously, when he was warming up the tyres, and then it was okay, we need to warm all 4 tyres. And then Kimi's response was yes. Honestly, what are we doing? Honestly, do you I've been an F1 driver for years. I've been a world champion. I've taken a break to do rallycross. Do you honestly think I'm not going to warm up these tyres? I'm going to get behind the safety car and go, right, okay, get me Cornetto out, get me Heineken out, and just chill behind the safety car. Does that Simon Rennie, I think it was, does he honestly think that Kimi would not warm up his tyres? But anyway, that was just an off topic. But yeah, John's right. Some of the drivers tell the race engineers to stop talking, and obviously you could have put the shut up Jeff button on, and obviously if you could talk to the race engineer, I guess you'd be seeing a lot more than that, wouldn't you?
You certainly would be. Yeah, that was supposed to be it. Yeah, that just failed. Yes, but honestly, there is loads of, we can literally go on for hours and hours and hours, just for loads of features that we would love to see in F1 2017 as well. Obviously, leave us your suggestions of what you want to see in F1 2017. Obviously, just leave in the comment section below. We'll probably reply to us, or get in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter at F1_day16. Just tweet us or message us or whatever, and just give us your opinion on what you see, on what you want to see on the games as well. And obviously, when you get
driverless cars,
that'll be quite bad. That driverless cars. Oh dear. We're going to be having that now, can we, guys? Electric cars. Who knows?
Formula E.
Formula E, the game. That's for another episode, guys. But also as well, I'm just going to end on this. All I'm going to say is, Tiamat Marduk, Arava. When F1 2017 comes out, all I'm going to say is watch this space. Because we have something very cool coming up very, very soon, guys. But that's all I'm saying for now. Anyways, guys, this is where we're going to wrap this episode. Thank you very much for watching as well. I will get my words on eventually. So yeah, that's how
3 times.
That is how
he is very thankful that you're watching this episode.
I'm extremely thankful that I said it. I always struggle when I say that. I don't know why, but that's how excited I am for F1 2017, guys. But yes, guys, thank you very much for watching as well. If you
4 times.
4 times. If you have liked this video, please give it a like as well. If you are new around here, subscribe. We do love subscriber too, don't we?
Oh yeah.
And also check out the last episode. Click there. Or there.
Yes.
Which I don't know where it'll be. It might be
there, everywhere.
Click there.
Me. It might be him. It might be him.
I don't know where. Actually, it might be there because we're quite high up. I'm going there. Point there. No, don't click there. Click there.
Point there.
Yeah. Point. Just you'll see it by now. Obviously, guys.
Yeah, you'll see.
Thank you very much.
Just I tell you what, we've pointed at every single position on this on the screen. We have pointed at the actual part that you have to click on. Just pause the video there, and then we're actually pointing to the actual part of the video. But yes. So obviously, make sure that you keep on track with everything that we're doing.
Yes. So yeah, that was what a crazy end to the video, guys. I don't know where we are going with this. This is how random we are. But anyway, guys, we have been the F1 Debate Show. I'm gonna see you next week.
See you later, guys.